Mike Creston, you want to come on and you want to call yourself the commander-in-chief of the radical movement? I don't think so. Bone Crusher, Johnny Light, what were you thinking? Rad Hazard is the radical movement. Now you call yourself the dangerous movement? No. This ends now. Now you see, Michael Creston, I'm not going to come in here and I'm not going to say, oh, I bow to you. Oh, Creston the leader, my commander-in-chief. Now you know, myself and Chris Dickens, we were the generals of the radical movement. I'm not going to take orders from anybody but Rad Hazard when it comes to the radical movement. But you know, right, Michael Creston.
See, you're going to have to abide by what I say, because I am the self-proclaimed commander-in-chief of the radical movement. You know, just what the initials stand for, commander-in-chief, COC, what I like to gobble on Friday nights, cock, you know.
Cock?
Cock.
Cock.
Oh, God, I can't do this! God, I feel less and less like a man when I do that.
Now, you see, Michael Creston,
I need some vibe, because I feel like that.
Primetime Tim Sanders and Chris Dickens, we are out of the movement. We're not going to take
a dangerous movement.
Any kind of orders from somebody who likes cock, okay? Now, on to bigger, fatter, bolder things
We're
such
not
as
talking about... Never mind. Go ahead and do what you got to do.
Bone Crusher, Johnny Light. Now, you join the radical movement and then you attack Rad Hazard. And you call it the dangerous movement. I don't want to know why. I don't know what your motivation, what your motives are. But you can count on this. Primetime Tim Sanders is no longer a part of this radical movement or your dangerous movement. You want to know why? Because it's like this. Primetime is here to wrestle. Primetime is here for the fans, for the entertainment of backyard wrestling. Yeah, I made some choices and I wanted to control backyard wrestling. But now I see if controlling backyard wrestling means being with fat tubs of lard like yourself and your crony, Johnny Light, I'm so big and bad. Fuck you both. Because Primetime Tim Sanders, right here, right now, says it's time for the backyard wrestling scene to get bigger and better than it's ever been before. As for you, Michael Creston, I'm just going to leave that to Chris Dickens.
Oh, you're going to leave Michael Creston to me. Not a good choice for the guy who proclaimed himself the cock of the radical movement. Yeah, you want to be the leader of the movement. You proclaimed yourself the commander-in-chief of the movement. The only thing you're commanding is a bowel movement, because that's what happens when you align yourself with the likes of a Bone Crusher and Johnny Light, the Fat Albert rejects of the wrestling world. Bone Crusher. See, I'm gonna hold off on you, Creston, for a little, just a little, you know, like the commander-in-chief thing you have, just a little bit. Bone Crusher, Johnny Light. I seen what you did at Midwest Extravaganza with Rad Hazard. He brought Focalin in and then double-crossed Focalin, because Focalin double-crossed him. Said he was with the radical movement, then spit in the radical movement's face. Not only did he do it to Rad Hazard, but he did it to Primetime and to myself. With his little movement, what was it, FYF or something like that? I can't remember. Something like that.
KY Jelly.
KY Jelly?
There it is.
Focalin and KY Jelly go together like peanut butter and bread. I don't know. It's just, you know, it's kind of funny noticing how people are Focalin with KY Jelly, Michael Creston with the COC position, you know, the cock position, and then you got Bone Crusher and Johnny Light, who sound like two guys who got married at the damn chapel inside of prison.
Makes sense.
We were lined up with Rad Hazard, the man who brought Battleborn Wrestling and this whole backyard wrestling movement together. Yeah, There's guys like C.J. Lennon, California Kid, who could say they were doing this beforehand, but it was Rad Hazard who made this possible. It was Rad Hazard who brought the radical movement into existence, and on a technicality, if you want to go even further, it was Rhea Calloway who was the chain reaction that caused the collisions of wrestlers to come together, emotions to blend, and radical movement born. Now you want to take Rad Hazard, who brought you underneath his wing, who was so kind to go down there and bring you guys into the radical movement fully. You want to turn your back on him and change it to the dangerous movement, the deadly movement, the, I don't know, the, you know, it just doesn't make sense to me, guys. I mean, seriously. I've taken bigger dumps that are more scarier than you two. So you're in Indiana Championship Wrestling, ICW. We're in Georgia, and this is the Adrenaline Wrestling Foundation. You got your little dangerous movement. Whoopie-doo. Mike Creston wants to be the commander-in-chief of the radical movement, which is the dangerous movement, and he's saying you boys have to follow his orders. So if he tells you bend over, you got to ask how many centimeters down do you want my head to be from the ground?
Because he likes cock.
Of course. Head cock of the radical movement. The point is, Rad Hazard was the guy we looked to. We were the generals of the radical movement. Michael Creston jumps into the seat of commander-in-chief, and then all of a sudden, Johnny Light and Bone Crusher are the guys who just took it over and changed it to the dangerous movement. So we are stepping down as the generals of the radical movement. And now, we're going to step up. Because, see, Rad Hazard's waiting until the off-season's over. Well, see, Adrenaline Wrestling Foundation wrestlers and talent don't take an off-season. We wrestle in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, and in the winter. Why? Because we're true wrestlers. We live it, we breathe it, we eat it, we die for it. That's what true wrestling's all about. And that's what I understand about a lot of you guys in this thing going on right now. That was the whole purpose of the radical movement, was to weed out the weakest links, the people who did not want to be in wrestling for wrestling, who were in it just for a glory moment, or in it for the fun, or in it for the fact that you had a girlfriend sitting on the sidelines or walking with you shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, hand in hand to the ring, and when you got done and you got beat up, you could claim, maybe my back hurts, my head hurts, that DDT hurt real bad, can you lick my wounds and heal my wounds? You know, I go home after a wrestling match, you know what I do? Pop a top on a beer, I sit back, and I watch what I did, because I enjoy wrestling. I enjoy everything about it. I enjoy the thrill of it. I enjoy the fact of getting in the ring and competing with the best of the best. That's what wrestling's all about, whether it be professionally, or the independent scene, or backyard. I mainly prefer backyard because that's where untapped talent is. But all these backyard wrestlers nowadays are all about the glory, all about the credit, all about this, all about that. And I see that Bone Crusher and Johnny Light and Michael Creston are all about how much they can gain from the prospects of being in charge of the radical movement. What did we gain from being the generals? Nothing. You know what we gained? Nothing. A show that this man right here, a whole promotion that this man took over, he renamed in honor of Rad Hazard. For what purpose? Because Rad was leading the way of the future of backyard wrestling, just like us in the Adrenaline Wrestling Foundation. The future, the pioneers of the backyard wrestling industry, turning this from something that was frowned upon on TV back in 98, 99 to something that can actually be proclaimed as a part of the wrestling world and not be shunned upon by assholes like yourselves.